Once I understood all of this and I transitioned all of that energy within me and all those subconscious limitations, the grief and the sorrow and the sadness and the regret and all the things that I was carrying, I was immediately able to transition those into a higher perspective, higher knowing, and unconditional love. And I get out of the bathtub and I feel like a whole person. And I go and I get in bed and my middle son comes in. He's 9 at this time. And he crawls in bed next to me and he says, "Mom, I wanted to be mad at you all day today. I wanted to be mad at you, but you didn't do anything wrong. I actually think it started yesterday." And he launches into his memories from the day before. And Sarah, let me tell you, this kid would never, ever have known that a dog takes its head and shoves it underneath a pillow when it's in pain. And this is what he describes that shadow did when he put it to bed at night. And what I realized in that moment is by me doing my own work and healing, I was also creating a healing within him.
Welcome to Stress-Free Solutions with Sarah. I'm your host, Sarah Elise, a stress management and fitness coach, advocating the world to trust their gut more often. I discuss various ways to manage stress and share personal stories of guest experts who have gone through the same stressors as all of you at home. Hey there, super moms of the universe. Let's play a game called hide and seek. No, not with your kids or that mysteriously vanishing left sock. It's time to seek out you in the everyday hide and seek of life. Introducing Mastering the Soul System, a 12-week journey to reclaim your time and energy. This course is your gateway to finding balance, energy, and joy in every aspect of your bustling life. Picture this: 12 weeks where the words mom and mayhem don't always go together. Rediscover yourself with every breath in our Soulful Mind Weeks. Sing out loud in the shower or car. Off-key is absolutely fine. And dance during our Soulful Body sessions. And embrace the quiet whispers of your heart in our Soulful Spirit adventures. It's about time your spirit got a front row seat, don't you think? Join us on this journey. Embrace the harmony between being a dedicated mom and your personal aspirations. Mastering the soul system, because darling, in the noise, find your silence. And maybe, just maybe, a bit of that elusive thing called me time. You deserve to thrive, not just survive. So come on, slide into our world at www.livewellenhanceyou.com/soul system. Your journey back to you starts now. Cari Kenzie is not just a coach, she's a life changer. A survivor of the Boston Marathon bombing. Her story is one of incredible resilience and unyielding strength. This experience, combined with her success as an entrepreneur who built and sold a multi-million-dollar marketing empire, makes her a force to be reckoned with in the speaking and coaching world. Cari brings a dynamic energy that transforms audiences. With a blend of raw honesty and insightful strategies, she doesn't just speak, she ignites change. Featured in Entrepreneur Magazine and Runner's World, Cari is the go-to expert on overcoming adversity, sparking creativity, and driving success. Her sessions are a powerhouse of practical wisdom infused with an edge that cuts straight to the heart of challenges. In the coaching arena, Cari is a quantum healer and intuitive business strategist. She doesn't just guide, she revolutionizes. Her approach is direct, personalized, and ruthlessly effective in helping you conquer your limitations and seize your potential. She's a dear friend of mine, and I'm so honored to have her with me today. Cari, thank you so much for being here. How are you feeling?
Hey, love. I'm doing super good. I'm so excited for this chat.
Oh my gosh, I can't even. Now, there's so much I want to talk to you about, but I do think understanding how you got to this point
if you don't mind going back to the Boston Marathon and what that did, how did that impact you?
It continues to be something that impacts me in beautiful ways, actually, and continues to change and manifest and create a journey for me moving forward. And the reason why is because I'm one who likes to dive back in to some of the stories that I have had in the past. And this is what I guide my clients through is diving back into those stories to really understand and unlayer the gold that's found there. So the experience in Boston was incredible. I finished the marathon and had decided that I needed to go to the medical tent upon completion. And so I found myself in this arena with these volunteers. And about 20 minutes after coming in, the volunteers had left and they were going to get nourishment and IVs, whatever it was I needed at that time, that there was this like, oh, that happened. And I remember the moment that sound like came across, I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that they let off cannon on Patriots Day. Like I didn't know that this is how they celebrated, right? But as soon as that thought came across my mind, the second blast hit, and when this one hit, it shook the core of the universe. The ground felt like it was going to come out from underneath me. The tent that I was in completely shook, and I immediately knew. I looked up and it caught the eyes of another volunteer, and just intuitively, we knew bombs had gone off. So I stood up. Everything happened so fast when you're like in the midst of chaos. It feels like it's taking forever and then it's happening so quickly at the same time. So it felt like I stood up, and the moment I stood up, they started to bring in what I call like the casualty of limb and those who were in that direct impact zone. And as I looked around, I thought, okay, I need to go find my family. I don't know where anybody's at. So I walk outside the tent. I look to my right, I'm looking down Runner's Alley, and it's, to me, this is what I remember. It's like sunshine and blue skies, but empty. There's nobody down there. And I turn to my left and I look at the finish line, and it just looks like smoke and chaos and darkness and people scrambling everywhere. And the moment I looked over, I heard somebody, like a line of people, start screaming, run as fast as you can. And it was what I call like this line of yellow jackets, these volunteers, and they started chasing me down the street. And I took off running, and I don't know how far, I don't know how fast. I don't even remember stopping, but at some point I found my way back to my family. Well, the real interesting component of it happens the next day. And that's, and then I go back down to pick up my bag. And when I'm standing at the end of Boylston Street, I'm kind of overlooking the devastation. It looks like a war zone has occurred. And a reporter comes up behind me and he's like, hey, can I ask you a few questions? Can you tell me where you were yesterday? What was your experience? I'm wearing my finisher's jacket. And as he's asking me these questions, there's a voice inside my head, and it said, it's not your story to tell. And I turned and I walked away. And I didn't realize, I mean, I knew, and I didn't realize how powerful and how impactful that moment was for me in that denial of my experience. I mean, I went back home because I'm not from Boston. And so I flew back home and I got off the plane and I owned my business at this marketing agency at the time. And I went back to work the next day.
Like
and
nothing
I just watched
happened?
like nothing happened.
Oh.
I like go back to work because I have a business. I've got small kids. The world needs me, right? And so I sat and I watched TV with the rest of my staff, and we waited until they caught the second brother. And when they did, we shut off the TV and I went back to work. And yeah, I felt like I was talking to people about it, and I ran in tribute and I did all the things. But 3 months later, I ended up debilitatingly ill, like with symptoms that nobody could explain. I was in and out of emergency rooms. I'd go in on Friday after work and I'd come out on Sunday and back to work on Monday. Because as high achievers, it's kind of what, like, gosh, if anybody sees that I am cracked in any way, shape, or form, like the whole thing's going to fall apart. And so you hold it together as much as you possibly can.
What kind of symptoms were you developing over that 3-month period?
I just, initially, it was like I would get some headaches, right? And it was hard to run. That was the thing. I went from running marathons, and I remember the last time I went out running I want to say it was August of that year. We'd gone camping and I went out running, and I had to call my husband at that time to come and pick me up. I had never ever had to do that before. And that was the last time I ran. And then it went from that to not being able to walk up a stairs, flight of stairs unassisted. And then it was migraine headaches. And then it was seizure standing up. And then it was bruising on my arms that couldn't be explained. And it just kept unlayering. I would get cramps so bad that my kids would have to manipulate my feet just so that I could move. I couldn't sign checks. And every time I went to the hospital, they'd be like, well, I think you're depressed. I'm not freaking depressed. But I followed because this is what you're supposed to do. Like, I'm trained to get the diagnoses, so I understand and know what's wrong with me, so I can fix it. I went to a doctor in 2014, and this was like that lightning bolt moment. I go in, he's the one specialist I haven't seen, and I'm trying to figure out, I don't care who you are, I will go see who. You're a vet, I'm there, right? You gotta,
Let's go. This is a high achiever. You're probably like, what's going on? I don't understand this. I always solve everything, right?
yes, it makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Mhm.
Like, I'm doing the thing, and not making any sense whatsoever. But I go to this doctor, and he looks at my chart, and he's looking at the vital sign, and he looks at me, and he says, are you a runner? And I'm like, yeah, why? Because your heart rate's really low. Typical. People say that. When you go in for a doctor. But the thing he said next changed everything for me. He looked at me and he said, I don't have anything that's going to be able to help you. There's nothing in my toolkit that's going to make you feel any better. But here's what I can tell you is that you are not depressed, because I have never known a runner to be depressed.
Mm.
And the reason why that was so powerful and impactful for me is because he saw me. Like, he didn't look at the chart. He didn't look at this. He literally looked at me and he's like, I know this about you. And because I know this about you, this is what I can tell you. And nobody had ever done that before. And I didn't realize that I hadn't been doing that for myself until that moment. And that's what changed everything for me.
So what were the next steps?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Continued search. But that continued search was done through intuition. I didn't even really know what intuition was at that time. I knew, but I didn't follow this. It was like my gut is telling me. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. Let's just yeah. But I would listen to a podcast. And if somebody would say something on a podcast and I'd hear it here and somebody else would mention something and I'd see it somewhere else, it hit that third time and I'd go, I got to address that. And every time I did it, I went to a doctor and I said, I need you to do this particular test for Lyme disease. She did it. She's like, it's positive. Okay. And that's how I began uncovering all of the illnesses that were happening. So the first thing was like, I had to take it in my own hands. And then this intuition kind of started to open up in the fact that I was looking at this point. I need to figure this out. And so the universe is like, okay, let's figure this out. And it paid attention to what was being shown. And then it was getting very present and allowing things to come in. Like, okay, so I see this. What do I do with this now? And is it something I feel like I need to follow? And then that kind of continued to guide me until 2016. Like, I dealt with this for a long time. It was crazy. Oh my gosh, the insomnia was like 5 prescription sleep medications to go to sleep at night. Things that we put ourselves through, right? 2016, I go to a conference because I feel like it's that gut. You're like, I don't know why, but I know I'm supposed to be. And so email comes across, I'm like, doing it. Didn't ask anybody, didn't say anything. Was like, I will go to this conference for these days. Don't care what it costs. I just know I need to be there. And I met this gal who says, we're talking. I'm like, got Lyme disease. I haven't slept in years. Like, all these things are happening. And she goes, I know a gal who helped me. You should give her a call. Again, okay. Right? It could be like, lay in crystals for 4 days and then have somebody sprinkle water over you and say this thing over and over and over again. I'm like, yes.
Give it all to me. Just need to lay here.
Whatever it's gonna take. So I call this gal and I always joke. It's like, she goes, so tell me about your childhood, which is not what she said, but it's what it felt like to me at that time. And I was like, this is not why I'm here. But she unlocked something for me. And it was the whole transformation and idea and the understanding that I was still carrying the trauma of Boston. I was still carrying trauma from my childhood. All of these things had been packaged up in me and were now manifesting out of me in illnesses. And then it was like, oh my God. So I got really curious about the trauma and I started unpacking. And I equate it to not like finding the silver lining, right? Because they're not going to throw a Mylar blanket for runners. You know, it's that silver blanket they put you in order to like warm you up, throwing that over the top, right? To find the silver lining. What I'm doing and what we need to do, I got to go into that debris. I got to go into the destruction and I got to do a full investigation. I need to understand how this happened, why this happened, what it is that I need to understand and learn from this so that this doesn't happen again. How do I change from that point forward so that then instead of this debris that I'm going to constantly have to walk around, it can all be cleaned up and beauty can be created in its place.
When you decided I need to start coaching people on how to break their pattern, and also, like you said, with your own trauma, it just built and stacked and stacked and stacked. So you had like a whole, like, I want people to visualize this, a whole closet full of boxes.
Oh, but they were pretty boxes though, Sarah. I mean, I packed that shit in Tiffany.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm telling you, if it's a Tiffany box, it's pretty enough as it is. I don't know.
Exactly. You don't have to touch it. It just looks great in storage. But as time goes on and you leave those boxes, they start to get misshapen or some get moldy.
You're really trying to shove that door shut.
Yeah. And it's like, nope, I'm going to keep hopping out.
Yes, this is what happened.
When you made that decision, you got to start talking to people and helping them through their own trauma. What was that like aha moment for you?
My son. That was my aha moment. I knew. So when I dove into doing the research and the study and the certifications and all of the things in order to do the thing that it is I currently do, I knew that I was supposed to do it. I had no idea why. And people would ask, why are you doing it? I have no idea. I just know I'm supposed to be doing it. And I'm creating healing in me. And I know that I want to be the clearest vessel I possibly can be moving forward in the future. The moment that changed me was when I experienced a healing in me that penetrated through me into my son. And it was so powerful that we had a very traumatic experience with his dog. Going on a walk, very hot that day, 3.5-year-old pit bull boxer mix, come back to the camper, dog passes away. It was very traumatic. My kids weren't there. I was there. Long story short, I am riddled with guilt. I mean, I am overcome and overwhelmed by the sorrow and the grief and the guilt. And what did I do? And I know enough, and I knew enough at that time that I was like, I need to get in a bath because I do a lot of meditating, a lot of clearing, because water is such a conductor of energy, right? And so I got in the bath. Literally, it's like an intentional prayer. Placed myself in a very present and aware state. And I went, what the hell was that? This was my ask of God. It was like, what the hell was that? And I started to receive all of this information, meaning like I would have thoughts that come up and I would have questions that would arise in my mind and I would receive the answers. And what I discovered was that he had an enlarged heart, that he had chosen that moment, and that it had actually started the day before. And I get these memories. He's whining, he's crying the day before. And I remember being curious, like, dude, what's up? You're like outside, no leash, and it's gorgeous outside. Why are we crying? Once I understood all of this and I transitioned all of that energy within me and all those subconscious limitations, the grief and the sorrow and the sadness and the regret and all the things that I was carrying, I was immediately able to transition those into higher perspective, higher knowing, and unconditional love. And I get out of the bathtub and I feel like a whole person. And I go and I get in bed and my middle son comes in. He's 9 at this time. And he crawls in bed next to me and he says, Mom, I wanted to be mad at you all day today. I wanted to be mad at you, but you didn't do anything wrong. I actually think it started yesterday. And he launches into his memories from the day before. And Sarah, let me tell you, this kid would never, ever have known that a dog takes its head and shoves it underneath a pillow when it's in pain. And this is what he describes that Shadow did when he put it to bed at night. And what I realized in that moment is by me doing my own work and healing, I was also creating a healing within him. It was beautiful. And that was the moment I went, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to transition and change and create space for other people to be able to understand the uniqueness of the experiences that they have, to be able to heal their trauma, so that that trauma not only heals within them, but it heals within the generations. And then it creates this extended healing, like through the ripple that they're creating in this world. That was the moment. Yeah.
What are some techniques that you use with their clients to get them to unpack?
Good question. The biggest key for anybody to understand, my clients or anybody else, is that your experience is unique. And so they have to understand that when they come in, because as I start asking questions, or as I'm talking to them about like, what's even happening in life today? Here's the thing, Sarah. Most people don't understand or know that they've got these situations hanging out subconsciously that are creating blocks, right? They're just kind of like, look, this is the thing I've got going on. It doesn't feel good and I want to change it. It's like me. I don't feel good. I'm sick. I come to you because I've got Lyme disease, not because of anything else. And so I'll start asking him questions around what it is that you're currently experiencing. And then intuitively, I will just get the question and I'll say, I need to ask you this, but I want you to close your eyes when I ask it because I want it to arise from within you. I don't want you to think too hard. And whatever comes up, you tell me. I don't care what it is because I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in random thoughts. I don't believe that the universe placed anything in your existence that's not meant to be addressed or placed attention on. And if it's coming to you, if it's arising from within you, it is meant to in order to be healed. That's how we begin. And then we have to trust that process. We've got to step into it with this self-awareness without judgment. And so those are kind of like, that's the first key that I tell them. We're going to ask these questions and you're going to allow those answers to come up within you because you already know. And then once we do that, you have the ability to be able to find the limitations because they're showing up in your world all the time. Figure out where they were created or where you resourced them from, right? Because they've got a resource. We just got to go into like both encyclopedia, like, yeah, where was that coin written down? Because then like it change it to something else. And then we get to go, okay, I get to create something new. Like if that's what it was, and I don't want it to be that anymore, what do I get to create that's different? And then we use the energy of the universe, use the quantum field, use God or source or whatever, and we literally change the energy that they're emitting out in the universe that's creating the reality based on the limitations. So they now have the more positive, abundant, higher vibration to be communicating out in the world to actually get what it is that they desire.
Can you explain quantum? Just the word quantum, because I think that is something that has been taken and people either misuse it or they make it into something that kind of sounds woo-woo. And I just want them to know some of this is science-based and
it's very science-based. Yeah. So I'm actually in the process of getting my master's and PhD in quantum physics and epigenetics, which is like wickedly awesome. Because I had no idea that this was the thing. So when I look at quantum physics and I look at the quantum field, here's what I understand and here's what I know, that absolutely everything is made of energy. And I don't think there's anybody who would actually argue that point. I mean, I've given talks in front of hundreds, thousands of people, and I'm like, you understand everything's energy. Everybody's like, yeah, I'm energy, your energy, like your desk, your chair, it's all energy. It's just moving at different vibrations, right? If everything's made of atoms, molecule.
yes. And also there's a reason why everyone also says my energy is drained. I don't have enough energy, right? Like just,
I'm attracted to your energy.
Exactly.
Like, yes. So, okay. So when we understand that everything is energy, energy is ever expansive. The universe is ever expansive. So when I'm talking about quantum physics or quantum healing, it's really understanding that everything is energy. Therefore, I am energy and I am connected then to everything. So in order for healing to truly happen, we actually have to go at it as opposed to from like the materialistic things, the material things up, meaning like from the body, the physical body. We don't heal the physical body in order to heal the mind, in order to heal the spirit, right? We actually heal the spirit in order to heal the mind, in order to heal the body. So it takes everything that we have known, like the body is this machine and you need to fix the machine, and it's flipping it on its head now. And it says, okay, well, you can do that. Like you can fix the machine, but if you're fixing that part of the machine and not fixing the energy around it, that energy is just going to move. And it's going to go from the shoulder to the knee to the eye to the right, because we're only addressing the symptom. So if we understand quantum as being energy and the quantum field being as ever expansive energy, I actually see it as very, very interchangeable with God or the universe or spirit, because there is an all-encompassing energy field. Okay? So if I know that there's an all-encompassing energy field and I'm part of that energy field, then can you imagine the kind of power that I have if I place myself in a vibrational state to be able to unlock the creative power of the quantum field? Because this is where all consciousness, like all possibilities kind of reside. So when I'm working with somebody, I go, can we have the energy of the universe change the energy within you to something that deep in your soul, you're like, look, the way that I picked up love when I was a kid, right? I kind of want it to be like this more unconditional, more beautiful, more compassionate love. And I go, okay, so let's let the quantum field fix that energy within you. Okay. Was that helpful?
That's very helpful. No, that is something that I feel when I presented anything with quantum healing, I get the energy part, but understanding how expansive it is and that we're all energy and energy move in our body, but also outward too, to the world. I think it's super helpful to break it down like you did. And I'm hopeful people will realize that when we talk about quantum, it is not a woo-woo subject.
No, it's very scientifically based.
Yeah.
Like they have research to back all of these things up now. And it's actually, this research is expanding out to be more encompassing of the things that we in the past would have said woo-woo or spiritual. And it's like, no, there's actually
Science.
Basis and backing for this.
Yeah. Now, you also are an incredible speaker. And whenever I've seen you up on stage, I'm just like always in awe. And today, like listening to you, you can share your story of the Boston Marathon. Like I heard it, but I heard it in a different way. And you are so unbelievably you're just filled with so much love and hope. And I'm really excited for you to speak more on stages.
Yeah.
What are some of the talks you are currently doing for companies or entrepreneurial events right now?
Yeah. So I think the topics that people are most looking for that I speak very deeply into are in conscious leadership, in creating vulnerability and authenticity within leadership in order to impact culture. But it's looking at that vulnerability and authenticity in a little bit different way than people think about it typically, or how we've been taught in the past. So a lot of times when we think about that vulnerability or authenticity, it's either one, I'm the bleeding heart who shows up and I share everything, or two, I only need to be that in order to be able to pull that from you, right? And it's not that case. It really is that ability to be able to truly know yourself, the ability to be able to understand your own experiences, your own limitations, and your own perspectives, so that you have the ability to then have a compassion and cultivate a completely different culture within your organization based on that. Because if I have the ability to see me fully and truly, then I have a better ability to be able to see you fully and truly. And I can have a different kind of compassion for that. So that's one of the conversations. I think second to that would be in the overcoming adversity, but really finding resilience. So much has changed over the course of the past 2 or 3 years. So much has changed. And there's so much that we still don't want to talk about, but it's seeping into our lives and into our corporations and into our communities. And that's in this having to navigate through the experiences that we've had in order to be able to find true resilience. Because there's things that we still don't want to talk about, we stand in resistance to them. And when we stand into resistance to them, the rug can very easily be pulled out from underneath us, and things can continue to shift and change and rock us, not giving us the ability to be truly creative and truly innovative in any of our fields, or to be able to create the outcomes that we really want. So I would say second to that. And then probably the last one, and this one I do not just within my business, but also for my nonprofit, and it's really navigating the ripple of trauma. And the reason why that one is so important to me is because when I look at Boston and I look at my experience there, I was in the ripple. And I say that because I wasn't directly impacted. Now, when you're in the impact zone, people surround you, people comfort you. You were physically injured. And that's still a question I get to say, oh, were you injured? I'm like, oh my gosh, no. But here's the thing. Even though I wasn't physically injured, I carried an amount of trauma from that experience forward. But it's people who are caught in the ripple that then deny and negate their experiences out of this like comparisonitis that we get for what other people's journey is. And that's destructive, because when we do that, and I look at my own experience, I was literally just talking with my sister this morning about her experience being in a school shooting. Like when you have those experiences and you shut those things down, you then become the continuation of the ripple of trauma. So the conversation really is in understanding the uniqueness of the experiences, giving permission for the stories to be expressed so that they can be healed, so that we can create not just personal healing, but transformation in communities, cultures, and generations by acknowledging those traumas firsthand.
What's the nonprofit that you work with?
So I founded Ripples of Change Foundation, and we founded that at the end of last year. And we've got some pretty exciting projects coming up.
Awesome. What's the website for that?
ripplesofchangefoundation.org.
Oh, now I always love to talk about stress because I was stress-free solution, right? But I always believe kind of what you did. You looked within, even though you didn't even know what your intuition was, right? Yeah, I didn't either. Follow your gut. That's something I teach on. And I was like, I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know what that health and brain connection really, truly was. But when you truly look within, there's always a solution. However, stress comes in very different ways. And I love to ask, how has stress saved your life?
Well, I'm sitting here. I mean, I think stress is, there's so many different amazing things that can come from stress. It's in what you do with the stress, right? But I think for me, and I see there's a lot of people who are navigating through hardships, especially this time of year, and especially over the course of the past year, it's been stressful. It's been really freaking hard. But I think it gives you the most amazing opportunity ever to be able to look at that stress, to look at that situation and be like, what is this trying to show me? What is this trying to present to me? What is it that I need to know or understand in this gift of moment? Now, it is sometimes, believe me, it is really freaking hard to do in that moment when you feel like I am in the bottom of the barrel and I cannot find my way out. Just bury me in this hole, right? There's moments like that. But when you take that, few breaths or 12 hours go by and you cried your eyes out and you feel like, okay, I can see a little bit more clearly. If we can ask that question, like, okay, what is this trying to show me? Like, why is this showing up in my world? That's where your life changes. And those are the moments that save your life. Honest to goodness, because everything is coming in to be like, hey, honey, you know that thing you've been doing? It's really hard. It's really stressful. It's just struggle. It's just struggle. And so what if it was meant to release? What if it was meant to be let go? What if it was meant to, because it's supposed to provide ease? So stress can be so incredibly powerful, but stress can be powerful if we get curious about it and we look at it and we're like, what is this trying to show?
Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. This was awesome. I'm obsessed. How can people connect with you?
Watch this language. So I can be found on my website, carikenzie.com. CariKenzie.com, CariKenzie.com. And then that's just my handle on all social media. So if you go to Instagram, if you're on LinkedIn, just Cari Kenzie, and you're going to be able to find and connect with me.
Perfect. And that website will lead also for anyone that wants to book you for one of their stages.
Yes. Yeah, I've got some of the talks on there as well. So we can have a chat about booking the stage. And also I do offer like a free complimentary coaching call for people. So that link is on my website as well, because I think, sometimes it's powerful to get some feedback or to have a conversation around what could be the thing that's getting in the way.
Totally. Yeah. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for having stress-free solutions in your earbuds. And please remember that in order to really have a journey, you have to be kind to yourself on the self-care journey. Remember that and have a beautiful day. Thanks to Dan Lieber at Beckett Brown Music for the intro and outro music. You can keep in touch with me on Instagram at Sarah Elise Coaching. If you're looking to improve your health and wellness, check out my business, livewellenhanceyou.com. While you're there, join the Live Well Enhance You email list and receive exclusive offers for our wellness programs and events. Until next time, take care.